to the 750 subscriber celebration live stream for Cooking Without Pants On. This stream is going to be like nothing you have ever seen me stream here on the channel. But before I begin, I'll let everyone know that we are streaming here on YouTube at Cooking Without Pants On. It is 9 p.m. U.S. Central Time. Like I already said, this is going to be nothing like any stream you've ever seen happen here on the channel. What I'm going to be doing in this stream as celebration of us hitting 750 subscribers is going to be what I consider to be the three main draws. Or actually, I'm having some computer troubles, so it's actually going to be the two major draws of the channel, which is mukbangs. I have quite a few good, sexy food items to try for you all over the course of the next 2 hours, as well as some ASMR, reading, and other stuff that I'm going to be doing in between those foods. So but this first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get up, I'm going to go into the kitchen, I'm going to get the first item, which is, I'll go show you right now. Okay, so here is the first item. This is a Jimmy Dean Meat Lovers breakfast burrito. There's actually 4 in here. I'm not going to eat all 4 of them because that would be wasteful. Let me see. Let's see if I can share this real quick. Oh, let's see. That was not as easy as I thought. Yeah. So I'm gonna open this up. I'm gonna read you all the instructions real quick. Remove. Okay, so. So here it is in all of its frozen glory. So it says, remove the wrapper and wrap the burrito in a paper towel. Let me go grab all this stuff to do that real quick. So I take this out of here. Put it in the papel towel. It's already kind of okay. So just wrap it up in here like this. So here is our nice wrapped Here's our nice wrapped burrito. And it says 75 to 85 seconds or until hot. Let's stand for 1 minute and enjoy. So I'm gonna put this in the microwave real quick. All right, so that is in there for the next 85 seconds. Well, that's doing its thing. We are going to be reading some Moby Dick. I don't remember what chapter I'm on, but I think I can find it. Let's see, maybe it's... There. Chapter 5, Death to Moby Dick. As our ship moved southward and we hit warmer weather, Captain Ahab came on deck more often, either to stand with his leg anchored in the hull or to sit on a stool fixed the same way. He'd often pace the deck unsteadily. Sometimes the restless pounding of his leg upon the wooden deck at night would keep us awake. When Stubb half-jokingly asked him to cover the ivory of the next night he felt like pacing the deck, Ahab turned on him. "Down, dog, and to thy kennel," he shouted. Stubb was speechless for a moment. "I am not used to being spoken to in that way, sir. I do not like it, sir," he said. "Then be called 10 times a donkey and be gone, or I'll clear the world of thee." Ahab advanced toward him threateningly. Stubb retreated, muttering to the men as he walked by. "I don't know whether to strike him or pray for him. Is he mad? And what can be on his mind that lets him stay in bed only 3 hours a day? And even then he doesn't sleep. The steward says his bed's always rumpled and his pillow's hot as a baked brick. He's full of riddles, that one." One morning after breakfast, Ahab's steady step was heard as usual. The dents made by his ivory leg on the deck looked deeper than usual, as if his nervous steps that morning left deeper marks. His forehead, too, was lined, as if one constant thought had kept him always awake. All day long he paced the deck. Suddenly, near the close of day, he stopped by the bulwarks and commanded Starbuck to send everybody aft. The mate was surprised at this strange order for the crew to gather at the rear of the ship. Ahab continued to pace, unmindful of our curious whispering. Finally, he cried out, "What do you do when you see a whale, men?" "Sing out for him," came the answer. "Good. And what do you do next, men?" "Lower away and go after him." "And what tune do you row to, men? A dead whale or a stove boat?" Ahab's face grew happier and more approving with every shout. Then he took out a bright coin and called for a hammer. "Look ye, do ye see the Spanish ounce of gold? Whosoever of ye sights a white-headed whale with a wrinkled brow and a crooked jaw, whosoever of ye sights that white-headed whale with 3 holes punctured in his starboard fluke, look ye, whosoever of ye sights that same white whale, he shall have this gold ounce, my boys." "Hurrah, hurrah!" the seamen shouted as Ahab nailed the gold coin to the mast. "It's a white whale, I say," continued Ahab. "Look sharp for white water. If you see but a bubble, sing out." All this time, Tashtego, Daggoo, and Queequeg had been looking on with more interest and more surprise than the rest of the crew. At the mention of the wrinkled brow and crooked jaw they had started, as if each morning were touched by some past memory. "Captain Ahab," said Tashtego, "that white whale must be the one called Moby Dick." "Aye, do you know the white whale then, Tash?" "Does he move his tail from side to side before he goes down?" asked Tashtego. "And he has an odd spout, and he is mighty quick, Captain Ahab?" asked Daggoo. "And he have 3 iron in him hide too, Captain," cried Queequeg. "All twisky like so." And Queequeg circled his hand round and round. "Like so." "Corkscrew," cried Ahab. "Aye, Queequeg, the harpoons lie all twisted in him." "Aye, Daggoo, his spout is a big one." "Aye, Tashtego, and he moves his tail from side to side. He fantails before going down. Death and devils. Men, it is Moby Dick ye have seen. Moby Dick. Moby Dick." "Captain Ahab," said Starbuck, "was it not Moby Dick that took off thy leg?" "Aye, it was that cursed white whale who gave me this dead stump I stand on now, and I'll chase him round the Cape of Good Hope and round Cape Horn and round the flames of hell before I give up. This is what ye have shipped for, men, to chase that white whale all over the sides of the earth until he spouts black blood and rolls over. What say ye, men? Are ye brave enough to join hands in it now?" "Aye, aye," shouted the harpooners and seamen. "God bless ye, men." Ahab half sobbed, half shouted. "Steward, go draw some rum for the men." Then, seeing Starbuck standing silently, Ahab asked, "Why do ye look so glum, Starbuck? Why won't ye chase Moby Dick? I am game for his crooked jaw and for the jaws of death too, if it comes from the whaling business we follow. But I came here to hunt whales, not for my captain's revenge." Starbuck alone opposed the captain, but of course he would not rebel. "God save me! God save us all," he murmured softly. Ahab ordered a big pewter drinking mug filled with rum. "Drink and pass," he cried, handing it to the nearest seaman. "Long swallows, men, 'tis hot as Satan's hoof." "Well done. Almost drained. Steward, refill." Next, he called for the 3 mates to come forth. Cross your lances that I may revive a noble custom of my fisherman fathers, he said, gripping the 3 irons at their crossed center. He gazed deeply from Starbuck to Stub and from Stub to Flask as if to fire them with his own fiery enthusiasm. The mates looked away from his strong, mystic stare. Down with your lances. Then Ahab turned to Queequeg, Tashtego, and Dagu. And now, my 3 valiant harpooners, detach the poles from your weapons, men. Queequeg, Tashtego, and Dagu slipped off the iron tips of their harpoons and turned them upside down, with the hollow openings facing up. Filling them like goblets, Ahab ordered. Drink, ye harpooners, drink and swear. Death to Moby Dick. God hunt us all if we do not hunt Moby Dick to his death. Alright, and that was chapter 5. Time to go get my burrito. Okay, so this is my very special Meat Lovers burrito. Ooh, it's nice and hot, nice and toasty. Well, it smells good too. This napkin is trash. Let me go put this freaking box away. So here goes first bite. Oh man, that's good. Fuck. Okay, so it looks like, so it's a meat lover, so it should have sausage and bacon. That's what makes most stuff. But I've also got eggs and cheese sauce in here, which is so good. Look at that cross section. This burrito is real good. I've noticed that it's pretty hard to actually find a really great frozen breakfast burrito. Like, the ones that Taco Bell has are super awesome, and I've had them before. I've had some pretty great gas station breakfast burritos. But I've never been able to find one that was frozen. But this is it right here. Or, that's not completely true. Back when I was still in college and I lived in the dorms, there was this burrito that you could buy on campus. It was by Don Miguel. And it was like legit, it was like a burrito that was like this fucking big. Like, the thing was huge. And that was the best breakfast burrito I've ever had in my life. Hands down, not even close. And the thing was a whole meal all by itself. It was insane how good that burrito was. It is also insane how good this thing is. This thing is so fucking good. And this is just the first food item. I will let you all know, all the food items that I'm going to be trying for the stream tonight are items I've never had before. Oh, so good. So, as I normally do, right, the breakfast burrito, the Jimmy Dean breakfast burrito Meat Lovers was what I just had. It cooks super fast in the microwave. 85 seconds wrapped in the in the paper towel on the paper plate. Super good. I already said it, it's second best frozen breakfast burrito I've had ever. Best frozen breakfast burrito I've had in years, because I have not had that Don Miguel breakfast burrito in a long, long time. That box was like $5, so $5 for those 4 frozen breakfast burritos, and they're super good, super awesome. Would absolutely highly recommend the experience that I just had. But that was just the first food. Now I'm gonna go get started on the second food. And the second food is, I'll come up and show it to you all. So this is, oh god, this is Hungry Man Selects golden battered chicken with cheese fries. This is, I don't know if this is new. I've never seen this thing before, and I do frequent the Hungry Man aisle quite a bit. It's a battered chicken patty strips and French fries with cheese sauce. It looks like it's going to be amazing. It's also got 26 grams of protein if you really love your protein. First thing we're going to do, we're going to bust this bitch open. Damn. Slit film over the meal. Cook on high for 8 to 9.5 minutes. Check that food is cooked thoroughly. Let stand for 1 minute and enjoy. So I'm going to get this thing opened. So, most Hungry Man meals come with the thing on the, holy shit, look at that. It's literally just the chicken and the cheese fries. I thought it was still gonna have like the brownie and like the corn, but not this one. So I just need to make a slit over this. Hold on. We'll go do that real quick. When I get back, I will read the next chapter of Moby Dick for you all, while this is in the microwave. Okay. So in here we'll do 9 minutes. All right, that timer is started. And now, while that is cooking and is doing its thing, right, so chapter 6, The Phantom 5. I began to pick up all sorts of information about whales in general and about Moby Dick in particular. The most prized of all whales is the sperm whale because of its valuable spermaceti, a white wax-like substance taken from the oil in the sperm whale's head. The spermaceti lights the lamps of the world and is an important ingredient in making perfume. As for Moby Dick, I learned he could be spotted from a great distance because he differed from most other sperm whales. Not only did he have a peculiar snow-white wrinkled forehead and a high white hump, but the rest of his huge body was so streaked and spotted with the same white color that he gained the nickname the White Whale. Moby Dick was known to swim frantically away from a boat lowered by a whaling ship to chase him, but he only pretended to be frightened. Suddenly he would turn around and bear down on his pursuers, either breaking their boat to splinters or driving them back in terror to their ship. Once, a captain went at Moby Dick with 3 boats. All 3 were shattered by the whale. Seeing his men spinning about in little whirlpools of the sea, the captain grabbed a small knife with a 6-inch blade and stashed at Moby Dick's heart like some wild man in a duel. That captain was Ahab. It was at that moment that the whale swept its curved lower jaw beneath Ahab and cut his leg off. From that moment on, Ahab wanted revenge against the whale. For to Ahab, all evil of the world was rolled into this one creature. I marveled that he had managed to make the crew share his hatred and even take on his enemy as their own. One still moonlit night we were standing in line passing buckets to fill the scuttlebutt, a barrel which holds the fresh water for the day's use. Suddenly, one of the seamen whispered to another, "Tss, did you hear that noise?" "What noise?" "There it is again, under the hatches. It sounded like a cough." "Be still, shipmate, will you? It's the 3 soaked biscuits you ate for supper turning over inside you. Nothing else. Now hand over the bucket." "We can grin all you like," said the seaman. "We'll see what turns up. There's somebody below that has not been seen on deck. I suspect old Ahab knows something about it." 2. I heard Stubb tell Flask one morning that there was something of the sort in the wind. Nothing came of this mystery for a while. Then Tashtego, who was keeping watch on the main mast, sang out, "There she blows!" I looked up to see where the Indian had sighted a whale. Tashtego stood perched high in the air with his arms stretched out like a wand. "There she blows! There! 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 Where?" came excited shouts. "On the lee beam, about 2 miles off, a school of them." That meant that they were on the side of the ship away from the wind. Instantly, all was commotion. "Quick, steward," cried Ahab. "Give me the time! Doughboy! The steward!" Doughboy, the steward, hurried below, glanced at the watch, and reported the exact minute to Ahab. He knew Ahab kept careful notes of where and when whales had been sighted or captured. Every night he would take from his locker a large wrinkled roll of sea charts and study the various lines and shadings. Tracing routes with his slow but steady pencil, he studied the currents of all 4 oceans and the habits of all whales in order to reach the one burning goal, to find and kill Moby Dick. Although we were now going after other whales, which after all was the main business of the Pequod, I knew that Ahab's real prey was ever on his mind. The ship was now kept away from the wind. 3 boats were swung over the side and down to the sea. At this exciting instant we heard a sudden cry. It took every eye away from the whales and directed them with a glare at Ahab. The captain stood on deck, surrounded by 5 dark phantoms who seemed to have appeared out of the air. These strangers busied themselves, noisily lowering one of the spare boats. "All ready there, Fedallah?" called Ahab. "Ready," came the half-hissed reply from a tall, dark figure with one tooth evilly protruding from his steel-like lips. The man wore a rumpled black cotton jacket and pants, and his long white hair was braided and coiled around his head like a turban. The other men had the tiger-yellow color of the Manilas, a tribe of natives from the Philippine Islands near Australia. Some superstitious sailors believed these natives to be secret spies of the devil. "Lower away, then!" shouted Captain Ahab. Like goats, our men leaped down the rolling ship's side into the 3 tossed boats below. In the 4th boat, rowed by the 5 strangers, stood Ahab. He was yelling across the water at Starbuck, Stubb, and Flask to spread out so as to cover a larger area. When, for a minute or so, their 2 boats came close, Stubb called to Starbuck, "What think of you those 5 yellow men, sir?" "Smuggled on board somehow before the ship sailed," called Starbuck. "Pull strong, boys." "A sad business, Mr. Stubb, but never mind, it's all for the best." "I thought so too. That's why he kept going down into the hold so much. The men were hidden there. The white whale is at the bottom of it." Well, can't be helped now. Give way, men. It ain't the white whale today." I silently recalled the mysterious shadows I had seen creeping on the board, the Pequod during the dim Nantucket dawn. I remembered, too, the puzzling hints of that strange man, Elijah. I would have a lot to think about at a time when there would be less excitement. But for now, all everybody wanted to do was close in on those whales. That was chapter 6. I'm going to go check on the food. Oh, that smells good. Oh, real good. While that continues cooking, we are going to read Chapter 7, Men Overboard. Ahab's tiger yellow men seemed all steel and whalebone, like 5 strong trip hammers that they rose and fell with hard, regular strokes of their oars. Fedallah, at one end of the boat, pulled the harpooner's oar, while the other end Ahab steadily managed the steering oar. "Flask," called Ahab across to the other boat. "Pull out more to leeward, man." "Aye, aye, sir." Flask swept his great oar round. "Lay back, men," he shouted. "There she blows, right ahead, boys. Roar and pull. My thunderbolts!" Meanwhile, in one of the other boats, Stubb was getting his crew to row too, but in a far different and rather funny way. He'd say the most outrageous things to them, but in a tone that was half angry and half joking. "Pull, pull, my little ones," shouted Stubb. "Why don't you break your backbones, boys? Pay no mind to the 5 in yonder boat. The more the merrier. Even if they are the devils, they are good fellows. Hurrah for the gold cup of sperm oil. The devil fetch ye ragamuffins. You're all asleep. Wake up and pull. Every mother's son of ye draw his knife and pull with the blade between his teeth. That's more like it now." In another boat, Starbuck's way was different. He'd command with a low, intense whisper. "Pull, pull, my good boys." He'd never say much to his crew, nor they anything say at all to him. It was a sight full of wonder and awe. The roaring waves of the sea, the boats rolling to the top of a watery hill, then sliding sled-like down its other side. The windstorm tossing them about, all these amid the cries of the harpooners and the shuddering gasps of the oarsmen. The Pequod bore down on her boats with outstretched sails like a wild mother hen chasing after her screaming brood. It was thrilling. Starbuck now gave chase to the 3 whales as our boat rushed along in the rising wind and mist. Suddenly he hurled a lightning bolt, whispered to Queequeg, "Stand up." Our harpooner sprang to his feet and waited till he heard. "That's his hump! There! There! Give it to him!" Queequeg's darting iron made a rushing sound, and then there was confusion. An invisible push came at us from the stern, or rear of our little boat. The sails collapsed, and something rolled and tumbled like an earthquake beneath us, tossing all of us helter-skelter into the white curdling foam of the sea. The windstorm, the whale, and the harpoon all blended together, and the whale, merely grazed by the iron, escaped. Swimming about, we managed to pick up our floating oars, climb back into the lonely boat, and tumble to our places. It was no use calling to the other boats. We could not be heard in the storm. We were up to our knees in water, and in the deepening mist, the Pequod was nowhere to be seen. As the dawn came on, we sat there drenched through and through, shivering cold and without hope. It was Queequeg who first jumped to his feet, cupping his hand to his ear. As we listened, we heard a faint creaking. Then, before we knew what was happening, the Pequod loomed into view, bearing right down on us. We jumped into the sea moments before the boat was crushed underneath the Pequod's hull. Again we swam for our lives, with the seas dashing us against the ship, until at last we were safely taken up on board. We learned that the 3 other boats had gotten back in time. "Queequeg," I said, still shaking myself to fling off the water, "my fine friend, does this sort of thing happen often?" He calmly gave me to understand that yes, it did. Stubb and Flask, who were with us, agreed. Considering that the 3 men thought nothing of being overturned, considering that they saw nothing unusual in cautious Mr. Starbuck's driving us onto his whale in the teeth of a squall, and considering, too, our captain's mad quest for the white whale, there was only one sensible thing for me to do. "Queequeg," I said, I'm going below and make a rough draft of my will. Come along. You should be my lawyer and advisor." That was chapter 7. The food is ready, though. I am definitely going to need a fork for this. Oh man, look at this. Hold on, I need to. I'm definitely gonna need a fork for this. Yeah. Okay, so here it is. This is what it looks like now that it's all cooked. I don't know if you can tell, but there is steam coming up off of it. Pretty sexy. So, let's see. I'm gonna blow it off first because let's still really hot. No surprises there. Let me get a lotion. You can tell the potatoes are nice and tender because they just kind of fall onto my fork. Okay, so a bit strange, not as flavorful as I would have expected. Yeah, the fries are pretty bland. Which is understandable because you really want the cheese to be the star. So. Oh man, that is good. Said it is good, but it is the fries themselves are pretty bland, and the cheese is a little bit too hot still to taste really well. But even the cheese has this sort of blandness about it. Yeah. Of course, I have not even tried the chicken yet. So, with the way that because I'm streaming on my phone right now, just because it lets me get this camera angle. But I can't see the chat right now. Oh, there it is. How's it going, Dreamer Row? How are you? God, look at some of these fries are freaking huge. I almost died just now. That's okay. You're just playing games and watching me? What are you playing right now? Yeah, it looks amazing, but it's pretty. I haven't tried the chicken yet, but I haven't tried the chicken yet. Now I have high hopes for it because it's battered and stuff. Well, the potatoes and the cheese are pretty bland, but they're not bad. If you're hungry, why don't you go get something to eat? Honestly, we could eat together. That's like one of the things that this stream allows us to do. I really like Roblox. Roblox is a lot of fun, actually. Surprisingly enough, Roblox is actually a lot of fun. I will remind everyone watching that this is only the second food item that we're going to be trying out of the 5 that I have lined up. Yeah. I've been wondering about that. I've wondered for like a really long time, what exactly is more important? Like, is it more important to get a good sleep? Or is it more important to make sure that you don't, go hungry? Because I'm still trying to figure that one out. The best thing that I can say about the fries is that they are very soft and fluffy. And so, if you're someone who really likes, if you're someone who really likes baked potato, you'd probably love this. The cheese itself, I really wish that it was more like a nacho cheese, because it feels like it's just like a really like regular, like, you know, generic cheese sauce. Like, they weren't trying too hard whenever they were coming up with it. It is good, but it could be way better. Oh yeah? What game are you playing in Roblox? Yeah, it is time to try out some chicken. I am really excited for this part, actually. You're playing an escape obby? Like I know there's a lot of them. Like, which one are you playing? Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, you're trapped in a hospital? That's awesome. Are you, like, being chased by, like, an evil doctor or nurse? So, the chicken was absolutely worth the wait on this thing. The chicken is a million times better. The chicken and cheese is a million times better than the fries and cheese. Because the chicken is soft and tender, but it has this nice bounce that lets you know that it was made well. Oh, an evil doctor. I see. The chicken is just so good. The breading falls off so easy, which I like that. Are you vegetarian? Well, I mean, they have, like, vegan substitutes for chicken. I'm sure you can find a really good one. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have a video on my channel where I eat vegan plant-based chicken nuggets. So, obviously they're vegan, so they don't actually have any chicken in them. And so, but those things were incredible. And, like, those chicken nuggets were one of the few items that I went out and I bought them again just so I could have more. They're absolutely worth it. It was like a big, like, and it was like Stranger Things frozen chicken nuggets. I don't know what Stranger Things had to do with it. As someone who has seen the show. As someone who is a fan of Stranger Things, I have no idea what they had to do with those nuggets that I had. I mean, yeah, but Stranger Things is still popular, honestly. Like, season 5 is coming in, like, a year or something. Oh, it was so good. It was top tier. Fries and cheese were okay. The fries by themselves, not really worth it. Chicken was incredible. Chicken was like, like I would buy this again and just to have the chicken. The chicken and cheese, fucking amazing. Um, but the cheese itself, if it was more of a nacho cheese, like I said, it would be a million times better. Like if it had that nacho cheese flavor, maybe like a little bit of spice, like a little bit of jalapeno juice in it, something like that, it would be a million times better. But uh, this was so good. Like some of the best. Like I love chicken strips that are battered than the way that these ones were. There's something about that one that's just so incredible. Um, I think it's called like a hand batter style. Um, this was not. I think this was like $7.99 at the store that I was at when I got it, which is pretty good for a Hungry Man Selects meal. It would have been less expensive if I was at Walmart, but I was at a different place. I think it would have been like 3, 4, maybe $5 at Walmart. But this was like ended up being over $8 at the place that I was at. I was out shopping with my mom, and she doesn't like to shop at Walmart. But this was incredible. Definitely worth it just for the chicken alone. And of course, if you love baked potato and you go and you really like the more of the generic cheese sauce than you like more than you like other stuff like that, then this is it. This is the meal for you. Absolutely incredible. Would recommend. Okay, so I'm gonna go grab the next food item for everybody. Show y'all some epic shit. Okay, this is just like some of the most epic shit I've ever seen right here. This thing I'm about to show you all. I'll let you all know beforehand. Doesn't really make a lot of sense what this thing is. But it's kind of like a calzone. It's almost like the Mexican pizza from Taco Bell, except it's not Mexican in any way. This is a banquet mega double stuffed pizza 4 meat. So it's 2 layers of crust stuffed with marinara sauce, mozzarella cheese, sausage, reduced fat pepperoni, beef, and ham. So, I mean, there's a fucking sexy-ass picture right there. It's kind of like a calzone, like I said. You get it, but it's also got the cheese on top and the sauce, and it's only 2 slices, which means they must be, like, fucking huge. Like, it must be, like, one like, right here, and then one, like, up here. I don't remember how expensive this thing is, but I know that it's mega, and it's also 430 calories a slice, so... I like pizza. I don't love pizza, but I like pizza. Gotta get this fucking thing opened. Oh no, it's one of these. What the fuck, dude? Oh look, here they are. In a nice little frozen package, bagage. Pull the tear strip along the carton edge and peel the back top of the carton. Separate the lid by tearing along the perforation. Create a tray with the... Jesus Christ, this shit's complicated. Create a tray with silver surface by folding at creases and remove pizza and flip empty box upside down to create a platform. Remove the plastic overwrap. Separate the slices at the seam. Place both pizza slices on silver surface and place tray on the top of the platform. Microwave on high for 6 to 7.5 minutes. Let's stand for 2 minutes. Okay, so gotta figure out this whole fucking puzzle of a thing I just read. But I think that this right here is what they wanted me to do. So they wanted me to like make a fucking platform for it. I gotta freaking do fucking geometry up in this bitch. Okay. Ah. Okay, let's get you. Oh. Look at. Oh, I gotta show it to you all. Look at this. Look at this. It's like a plate. It's like a plate. It's like a plate. Okay. So I need to go put this in the microwave for 7 minutes. Be right back. Okay. And I also got myself a drink. This is milk because it's the only thing that I have to drink. But that's okay. Because while that cooks, we are going to read Chapter 8, A Victim of Moby Dick. Ugh. Southeastward from the Cape of Good Hope, a name which seemed all wrong for that place of tormented seas, howling winds, and leaping waves, we met another ship. It was the Albatross, a ship that had been long absent from home, judging from her rusty sides and the long beards of her tattered, dressed sailors. "Ship ahoy!" Ahab called to the other captain. "Have you seen the white whale?" But as the captain of the Albatross put the trumpet to his mouth to answer, it fell out of his hand into the sea, and he couldn't make himself heard, so he passed on. What the fuck? Not long after, we met another homeward bound whaler, the Town Ho. This time Ahab allowed a gam, or exchange of visits. Some Town Ho crewmen who came on board the Pequod whispered the secret of their ship to Tostago. When he later told it to us, it sparked our interest in Moby Dick. An officer and a sailor on the Town Ho had gotten into a fight over an unfair order to sweep the deck. In self-defense, the sailor knocked the mate out. Others got involved and it became a mutiny. Steelkilt, the seaman, was about to kill Radney, the chief mate, when a call came. Moby Dick had been sighted. Radney's boat was the first one lowered away, and as he stood spear in hand, he was washed overboard. Moby Dick clamped him between his jaws, reared up high, and then plunged down into the water. When the whale rose again, he had some tatters of Radney's red wool shirt caught in his teeth. But all four boats gave chase, but Moby Dick had disappeared. After hearing the Town Ho's story, we all had Moby Dick on our minds. Daggoo, who had the lookout, saw a great white mass that kept rising and sinking. "There she breaches! White ahead," he called. "The white whale! The white whale!" Ahab gave instant commands for lowering. His boat was down ahead of the other three. I watched with interest as a vast, pulpy, cream-colored mass, hundreds of yards long and wide, came floating on the water. Countless numbers of long arms radiated from its center, curling and twisting like a nest of snakes. It had no visible face or front. It was just a ghostly, shapeless, living thing. As it disappeared again, making a low, sucking sound, Starbuck said, "I would almost have rather seen and fought Moby Dick than that white ghost." "What was it, sir?" said Flask. "The great live squid. There's a superstition that few whale ships that see the squid ever return to their ports to tell of it." Ahab said nothing. He turned his boat and sailed back to the ship with the rest of us silently following. But Queequeg had a different opinion about what seeing the squid meant. "When you see the quid close by, then you see quick perm whale." The next day was hot, and all of us were drowsy. But sure enough, just as Queequeg had said, all at once we spotted a huge sperm whale lazily swimming along and spouting his jet like some fat citizen leisurely smoking his pipe on a warm afternoon. But that pipe was the poor whale's last. As if struck by a magician, all the drowsy men on the sleepy ship awoke and got busy lowering their boats. Our noise must have alerted the whale, for he threw his tail 40 feet into the air and sank out of sight like a swallowed-up tower. Stubb, being nearer than any of the others to where the whale again appeared, counted on having the honor of capturing it. Start her like thunderclaps, my men, he ordered. But keep cool, cucumber's the word. Start her, Tash, my boy. Woohoo, wahee, screamed the Indian in reply, raising some old war whoop to the skies. His wild screams were answered by others just as wild from the other boats. Ki-hee, yelled Daggoo, straining back and forth in his seat like a tiger pacing in his cage. Kala, Kulu, howled Queequeg. The men in Stubbs' boat tugged and strained until the welcome cry was heard. Stand up, Tashtego! Give it to him! The harpoon was hurled. The boat now flew through the boiling water like a shark that is all fins. She seemed to pass the whole Atlantics and Pacifics as she shot on her way, till at last the whale somewhat slowed his flight and the boats as well. Haul in, cried Stubb. All the men faced round towards the whale and began pulling the boat up to him. While he still towed the boat, Stubb sent dart after dart into the whale's body. Soon a red tide poured from the sides of the monster. The sun, playing upon the bloody water, sent back its reflection and into every man's face, so that they all glowed up to each other like red men. Pull up, Stubb now cried, and the boat moved along the whale's side, reaching far over the bow. Stubb slowly churned his long, sharp lance into the heart of the whale and kept it there, carefully churning and churning. The whale made a last desperate flurry, sending the boat backing out of his mad, boiling spray. Then the spray stopped, and the whale once more rolled out into view, opening and closing his spout hole with sharp, cracking breaths. Streams of red blood shot into the air, then ran down the whale's sides into the sea. His heart had burst. Stubb took his pipe from his mouth, scattered the dead ashes over the water, and stood thoughtfully eyeing the vast corpse he had just made. Oh, holy shit. That was chapter 8. We'll go see how the food is doing. "20 seconds. Okay, so, see, here it is. Didn't quite turn out the way the picture made it seem. So I'm actually not even sure. I think it's definitely done because it fucking oozed all over the place. But I feel like I'm gonna need to eat this bitch with a fork. I'm definitely gonna need to clean up my desk after this. So, while I let this cool off, I'm gonna grab a freaking paper towel because my desk is all damn dirty now. Okay. While we let this cool down, we're going to be reading Chapter 9. The Mad Prophet of Doom. Since Stubbs' whale had been killed a distance from the ship, 3 boats now began to tow the prize to the Pequod. So enormous was the mass we moved that it was dark by the time our 36 arms and 180 fingers finished the job. The sight of the dead whale seemed to pain Ahab, as if he were reminded that Moby Dick was out there, still alive, yet to be killed. The tremendous body was fastened along the length of our vessel, and Stubb, in a mood of good-natured excitement, ordered whale steak for his dinner. The next day we began a long, hard job of cutting up the dead whale, a foot-thick blanket of rubber or flat, encircles a whale like a rind encircles an orange. First, Starbuck and Stubb used long spades to dig a hole in the blubber. Next, a huge hook was inserted and the crew pulled away the first strip. Then the men in the blubber room got the strip of blubber and began coiling it. This procedure was repeated over and over again until all the blubber was taken care of. A single whale yields enough blubber to make 100 barrels of oil, a lake of liquid that weighs about 10 tons. Our work was interrupted by the cry, "Sail ho!" It turned out to be another whaler, the Jeroboam, out of Nantucket. When her lowered boat was heading toward us, Starbuck ordered a ladder jet down for the visiting captain. But the Jeroboam's commander, Captain Matthew, waved his hand to show that he would not be boarding the Pequod. "Be careful rowing." The Jeroboam's oarsmen kept the boat alongside our ship to make conversation possible. We found out that the reason they wouldn't come on board was because of a bad epidemic on the Jeroboam. Stubb thought he recognized one of the oarsmen, a small, wild-eyed young man with a freckled face and much yellow hair. "That must be Gabriel," said Stubb. We had heard stories from other crews about this strange man who had been raised as a Shaker. The Shakers, I knew, were an American religious group who shook their bodies as part of their worship. After signing up as an ordinary seaman, Gabriel had announced himself to be a prophet, saying he was the angel Gabriel. He had demanded command of the ship when the captain threatened to land him at the first convenient port. Gabriel began opening all sorts of mysterious little bottles. He kept uttering terrible warnings of what would happen to the crew if the captain carried out his plan. So firm and convincing was he that the men went to the captain and told him that if Gabriel were sent from the ship, not a man of them would remain. They wouldn't let him be punished in any other way. So Gabriel had complete freedom of the ship. When the epidemic broke out on the Jeroboam, Gabriel had even more power. He announced that the plague came about at his sole command and that it could be stopped only when it pleased him. The sailors believed everything he said. They had all heard about the white whale and were eager to hunt him until Gabriel, in his wild, babbling way, warned them not to. He said that Moby Dick was his Shaker god who had come down in a whale's body. However, a year later when they encountered the whale, the chief mate, Henry Macy, burned to go after him. Macy finally persuaded 5 men to man his boat. As Gabriel continued to hurl prophecies of doom, the men got one iron into the sea beast. Suddenly a broad white shadow rose from the water, and the whale, by its quick fanning motion, temporarily took the breath out of the oarsman's body. The next instant, the unlucky mate was thrown bodily into the air and, making a long arc in his descent, fell into the sea some 50 yards away. Not a chip of the boat was harmed, nor a hair of any oarsman's head, but the mate sank into the sea forever. At this point, Captain Mayhew asked Ahab if he would hunt Moby Dick if he had the chance. "Aye," answered Ahab. Whereupon Gabriel jumped to his feet and glared up at the old man. With downward pointed finger, Gabriel passionately exclaimed, "Think of Macy, the god insulter, dead and down there. Beware of the same end." Ahab turned aside, saying he just recalled a letter he'd been given in Nantucket for one of the Jeroboam's officers in case the 2 ships met at sea. Starbuck went to look for it and soon returned with a damp, worn piece of mail. It was covered with green mold from being stored in a dark locker. Starbuck took a long pole and slightly split the end to hold the letter as it was passed down. While Starbuck was splitting the pole, Ahab tried to puzzle out the writing. On the envelope, "Mr. Har." Yes, a woman's handwriting. "The man's wife, I'll bet. Mr. Harry Macy. Ship Jeroboam. Why, it's for Macy, and he's dead." "Keep it yourself," cried Gabriel to Ahab. "You're soon going that way too." "Curse you!" yelled Ahab. "Captain Mayhew, stand by to receive it." But Gabriel snatched the letter, poked his knife through it, and hurled it back up to the Pequod. It fell right at Ahab's feet. All right, so that was chapter. Was that? That was chapter 9. So now we're gonna see about eating the shit out of this. So it is still a bit hot, but. Okay, so the crust is very soft, not crunchy in any way, which is not really what I expected it to be. I'm getting all of the meats, but like I'm getting the texture of some and the flavor of others. Because like I can tell what is I can tell what's bacon based on the way that it tastes, and that I can tell what is ham based on the way that it chews. I don't think I've gotten any of the pepperoni yet. I know that I've gotten the sausage because of the fact that it is nice and soft and it has a little bit of kick to it. So it is pretty good. Like it's nostalgic for me, is what I'll say. Like it reminds me of the old Totino's pizza rolls, or just the Totino's pizza, where like they'd have the soft crust with the cheese and the sauce on top, with the bacon and the sausage and other stuff like that. Like it was nice and square. We'd eat the whole thing. I remember the first time I ever ate like a square pizza that wasn't a Totino's pizza, and I was like, why the fuck is it square? Like I was like, for real, genuinely confused. It is good, honestly. Definitely not the best pizza I've ever had. It is an interesting concept, though. A pizza within a pizza. And when it comes to price, I want to say that it was on par with the Hungry Man Select Meal. It is honestly like a good pizza snack. The very edge of the crust, like the actual part that you hold, has a little bit of crunch to it, but you know. I'm only gonna eat that one slice just because I want to make sure I have enough room for the last two food items, as well as my drink as well. So, oh fuck yeah. In case you didn't notice, the last two are right here. This is grape frosted Pop Tarts, and this is some Little Debbie zebra cakes, my favorite snack cake ever. So I'm gonna go put this away, and we're gonna come back, read another chapter of the book. Then I will start on the grape Pop Tarts. Time for the next chapter of Moby Dick. Here's also the front cover if you really wanted to see. The Devil on Board. We next encountered a group of right whales. The oil of these whales was inferior to that of the sperm whales, so I assumed we would not bother hunting any. But I was wrong, for the cry came to lower the boats. Stubb and Flask went in pursuit of the tall spouts, with one whale harpooned the two boats, pulled up close to his body, and Stubb and Flask took turns plunging in lance for lance until the whale was dead and ready for towing. I wonder what the old man wants this lump of foul lard, said Stubb. Didn't you never hear about the charm? Asked Flask. Once a ship has a sperm whale's head hoisted on her starboard or right side, and at the same time a right whale on her starboard, or on her larboard or left side, she can never afterwards capsize. Where did you hear that? Asked Stubb. From Fedallah, replied Flask. That ghostly man will charm this ship to a bad end. Doesn't his single tooth look like it's in the head of an evil snake? Stubb. Well, I think Fedallah is the devil in disguise, and the reason we don't see his devil tail is because he coils it up and tucks it in his pocket. Yes, and he sleeps in his boots, don't he? Added Stubb. That devil Fedallah don't want anyone to see his goat-like hoofs, for they would surely give away his identity, and I'll bet he's even made a bargain with the old man, too. Got him to swap away his soul if Fedallah promised to surrender Moby Dick to him. You must be joking now, Stubb. How can Fedallah do that? I don't know, Flask, but the devil is a strange chap and a wicked one, I tell you. But look sharp, we're here. Pull ahead and let's get this whale alongside the ship. After a while, the two boats, pulling their burdens slowly, arrived back at the Pequod. How old do you think Fedallah is, Stubb? To answer, Stubb pointed to the tallest pole on the Pequod. Do you see that mainmast there? Well, they say that's the figure 1. Now take all the hoops on all the barrels stored on this ship, string all those hoops in a row beside that mast and pretend there's zeros following that one. That number wouldn't begin to be Fadala's age. You couldn't find enough hoops in the world to make enough zeros. But Stubb, before you said you would like to toss him overboard, if he's going to live forever, what good would it do? Give him a good ducking. What if he decided to duck you back and drown you? I'd like to see him try. Damn the devil, Flask. Do you suppose I'm afraid of him? If he makes a fuss, I'll just grab into his pocket for his tail and wrench it off. Then I'll let him go sneaking off in shame. And what will you do with the tail, Stubb? Do with it, sell it for an ox whip when we get home. What else? Flask looked up at Stubb with a puzzled expression. Do you really mean what you've been saying all along, he asked. Mean or not mean, here we are at the ship, replied Stubb. On the side of the ship away from the sperm whale, chains were now ready for securing this right whale. Didn't I tell you so, said Flask, pointing up at the sperm whale's head hoisted up on the Pequod's starboard side. I told you Fadala would do that. You'll soon see this one's head hoisted up opposite the other one's. In good time, what Flask said proved true. When the white whale's head was suspended in place, I saw Fadala studying it. He was comparing its wrinkles with the lines on the palm of his own hand, as if reading some secret message about the future. Captain Ahab stood in such a way that Fadala was completely in his shadow. If Fadala had any shadow at all, it seemed to lengthen and blend mysteriously with Ahab's. So that was chapter 10. And now, time for maybe the most exciting part of the entire night, when we finally get to the 2 dessert items, with the first one being a Pop-Tart that I've never even seen before, which makes me think that it's very new, actually. But this is Frosted Grape Pop-Tarts in a pack of 8, just in case I don't like them. So, I'm only going to eat one package. So, well, shit. Fuck. Ooh, man, that grape smell is strong. And look at this thing. It's just like a regular strawberry frosted Pop-Tart, but it's purple. And it smells like grape. Okay. Here we go. Damn, what the fuck was that? Okay. That first bite was a little bit bland. I've never had the blueberry ones before. But, you know, I've heard they're pretty good. The strawberry ones are my favorite. So, see, those first 2 bites were not much of anything. It's really plain. Like, it's really not much anything. Like, The grape flavor is not strong at all. Like, it's almost like drinking. It's almost like it's like the flavor you get from drinking like grape juice. But like it's like really super heavily like covered, I guess. Like I just or it's like being masked by the pastry itself and the frosting. Like the flavors are too similar, and so I'm having trouble making out the grape. Well, let's see if I can get just some of the spread. It's just really plain. I don't get it. It really doesn't actually taste like grape much at all. Yeah, let me just reach my Pop-Tart through my phone and give it to you. It's not very good. Or it's not that it's not good. It's just not really anything. Like, it's like really middle of the road, super bland. Definitely not tasteless. Definitely not tasteless, but it's still cause it's still like the pastry and it's still got the frosting on top, which is really great, but the grape flavor is really not much. Like, so I don't know. I am not gonna eat the second one. I'm gonna set this aside. What? I am now going to bust out the ultra dessert. These are zebra cakes. They are my favorite snack cake ever that I've ever had in my entire life. Nothing else comes close. So I'm gonna bust one of these out and have them tell you everything that I'm thinking about it while I'm eating it. And then we will call it a stream. So there they are. They come in a nice little package like this. They are a little bit moist, like always. That's actually pretty normal. Oh, they're so good. They're so soft. They're so sugary. They've got this nice cream in the middle. I will warn you, if you have chronic acid reflux, do not eat these right before bed. And if you do, make sure you take like Prilosec or omeprazole or any kind of acid reducer, like Tums, right after you eat these. because these will fuck you up. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've eaten these and woken up with like a burning throat, ready to die. And that is just another thing that speaks to how incredible these are. That can happen to me, and I still want these. Last one. That is so good. One of my favorite things to do actually is so the frosting on the outside actually comes off pretty easily, and so one of my favorite things to do is peel all the frosting off. It leaves just the cake that's underneath. It's so much softer. It actually tastes different when you do it like that. Right, that's another thing. Milk. Milk is incredible if you have acid reflux. If you wake up in the middle of the night with an acid attack, take a Prilosec with a cup of milk. It'll make you feel so much better. Oh, but that was the last food, which it seems that this is going to be the end of the 750 subscriber celebration live stream for the channel. Thank you all so much for helping the channel reach 750 subscribers. We are now more than 3/4 of the way to 1,000 subscribers, which is just incredible, and it's just amazing. If you all enjoyed the stream, please remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to see more content just like this in the future. Thank you to everyone who watched and came out and saw and supported the channel. Well, this was for all of you. Once again, thank you all for watching. Until next time, bye.